The Galactic Council's emergency session had been called for the third time in 6 standard cycles, and Ambassador Zix Thera of the Hegemony felt her crystalline exoskeleton vibrate with barely contained anxiety. The holographic display showed casualty reports that defied all logical explanation. "The humans have done it again," announced High Chancellor Vorth, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence as he processed the data. Kepler Station 7. Complete enemy surrender within 47 minutes of human arrival. Zix Thera's mandibles clicked nervously. What weapons did they deploy this time? Antimatter warheads? Quantum disruptors? None. Vorth's voice carried a tremor. According to all sensor readings, they used nothing more than standard kinetic firearms and their presence. The assembled delegates from across the galaxy exchanged bewildered glances. The humans had been members of the Galactic Council for barely 2 cycles, yet their military effectiveness had become the stuff of legend and nightmare. Dr. Keyleth of the Axiom Collective, whose species had spent millennia perfecting biological warfare before the universal weapons ban, leaned forward with interest. There must be some explanation. No species achieves such results through conventional means alone. The answer came from an unexpected source. Senior researcher Myth Andra, whose people had been studying human biology since first contact, rose from her observation pod. Her translucent form shimmered as she spoke. "Honored delegates," Myth Andra began, "I believe we have been looking at this incorrectly. We've been searching for the weapons humans use, when we should have been examining what humans are." She activated her personal holo display, showing a complex biological readout. "Consider this. Humans evolved on a death world. Their home planet, which they casually call Earth, has gravity that would crush most of our species, an atmosphere that's literally combustible, weather patterns that include frozen water falling from the sky, and predators that hunt in coordinated groups." The display shifted to show microscopic imagery. But that's not the remarkable part. Humans carry within their bodies approximately 37 trillion microorganisms. By mass, they are roughly half human, half other life forms. A collective gasp rippled through the chamber. Biological weapons had been banned for good reason. Most civilizations had nearly destroyed themselves with engineered plagues. Furthermore, Myth Andra continued, humans shed approximately 1.5 billion skin cells per day, each carrying their unique biological signature. They exhale over 300 chemical compounds with every breath. Their sweat contains antimicrobial peptides that would be classified as biological weapons on 17 different worlds. Chancellor Vorth's voice was barely a whisper. "Are you saying that humans are walking biological weapons?" "I'm saying humans are walking biological factories," Myth Andra corrected. "But it gets worse, or better, depending on your perspective." The display showed psychological profiles. Humans possess what they call adrenaline, a combat stimulant, that their bodies produce naturally. When threatened, they become faster, stronger, and virtually immune to pain. They can continue fighting with injuries that would incapacitate most species. Ambassador Zix Thera felt her exoskeleton rattle. But surely that explains their individual combat effectiveness, not their ability to cause mass surrenders. But there's more. Myth Andra's display shifted again. Humans are social predators. They instinctively understand pack hunting, psychological warfare, and fear projection. When they enter a combat zone, they don't just bring weapons, they bring the concentrated evolutionary pressure of a death world apex predator. She paused for effect. Their very pheromones trigger flight responses in most galactic species. Their vocal ranges can produce subsonic frequencies that cause unease in 70% of known sentient life. And their facial expressions. The display showed a human smile. What they consider friendly, most species interpret as a threat display. The chamber fell silent. Dr. Keyleth was the first to speak. "So when the humans board an enemy vessel, they're essentially deploying themselves as a biological weapon," Myth Andra confirmed. "They don't need to fire a shot. Their presence, alone, their scent, their sounds, their appearance, triggers deep-seated survival instincts in their opponents. Mass surrender isn't cowardice. It's a rational response to encountering something evolution never prepared you to face. High Chancellor. Vorth sat back heavily in his chair. This changes everything. How do we classify a species that is itself effectively a weapon of mass destruction? With respect, Chancellor, came a new voice. The chamber turned to see Captain Sarah Chen of the Human Expeditionary Force, who had been quietly observing from the gallery. She stood and walked to the center of the chamber with the casual confidence that made everyone instinctively step back. "You're overthinking this," Chen said, her voice carrying easily through the chamber despite speaking at what she probably considered a whisper. "We're not trying to be weapons. We're just trying to help." She smiled, that terrifying display of dental weaponry that humans somehow considered reassuring, and continued. "But if our biology makes conflicts end faster and saves lives on both sides, well?" She shrugged, a gesture that somehow conveyed both apology and complete lack of concern. "We can live with that." As Captain Chen left the chamber, the delegates sat in stunned silence. Finally, Ambassador Zixathera spoke what they were all thinking. "Maybe we should update the biological weapons ban to include an exception for naturally occurring biological weapons that happen to be sentient and friendly." High Chancellor Vorth nodded slowly. "And perhaps we should be very, very glad that humans consider us allies." In the depths of space, another distress call crackled across subspace frequencies. Within hours, human ships would arrive, and the conflict would end not with explosions or energy beams, but with the simple, terrifying presence of Earth's apex predators politely asking everyone to please calm down. The galaxy had banned biological weapons, but evolution, it seemed, had a sense of humor.